Now we turn to this week's focus. Vietnam's push toward innovation-led growth is accelerating. However, an urgent question remains. Are domestic businesses ready to absorb the technologies that foreign investors bring? And FDI continues to pour into Vietnam, yet technology transfer remains limited. Vietnam attracted more than $36 billion in FDI last year, one of the highest levels in ASEAN. But only about 30% of that went into high-tech industries, such as electronics, semiconductors, renewable energy, and advanced manufacturing. The remaining investment is still concentrated in labor-intensive or assembly-based sectors where technology spillover is traditionally low. And the linkage gap is even more striking. And although foreign companies operate more than $470 billion worth of projects in Vietnam, less than 15% of domestic firms participate directly in their supply chains, and only a small share receive structured technical assistance or technology upgrade programs. Now, despite billions of US dollars into new factories and equipment, only a small share of Vietnamese firms are linked to global supply chains, and many still struggle with limited R&D capacity, outdated processes, and a shortage of skilled engineers. As global manufacturers scale up operations in Vietnam, turning FDI presence into real technological progress for domestic enterprises has become both a challenge and also an urgent opportunity for the country's next phase of development.
This local enterprise operates in advanced fields of blockchain and artificial intelligence. Capital remains a critical bottleneck. To compete for large-scale digital projects with foreign partners, they must move quickly. However, slow and complex loan procedures often leave them trailing behind competitors. For many firms, the difficulties of securing credit means delayed investments in new machinery and technologies, undermining their ability to meet the standards required for technology transfer from FDI partners.
Có một thời gian rất dài để chứng minh là nguồn thu nhập dòng tiền lợi nhuận từ cái dự án đó thì mới có thể là có cửa để ngồi nói chuyện trực tiếp với cả ngân hàng được. Tiếp cận vốn của doanh nghiệp khó để tiếp cận cho các doanh nghiệp. Chưa kể là thủ tục hành chính thì rườm rà và nhiều khi là gây rất là phiền toái và mất nhiều thời gian.
Small and medium-sized enterprises account for 98% of the domestic private companies, yet their ability to mobilize capital remains limited. Despite raising over $640 billion last year, these companies still hold less than 30% of total operating capital across the entire business community. Without strong financial capacity, many firms struggle to invest in automations, digital infrastructure, or quality control systems, which are requirements that FDI manufacturers demand before transferring technology.
Thủ tục vay ấy, ông phải có đủ tài sản thế chấp. Nhu cầu phát triển tăng lên thì cái tài sản của mình chưa kịp theo cái đó. Cái hạn mức tín dụng của mình không được phê duyệt kịp thời. Rất nhiều những hợp đồng mà cần huy động tài chính lớn nhiều bị hạn chế về mặt tín dụng, vốn nó không kịp thời theo cái mức độ tăng trưởng của doanh nghiệp và theo thị trường.
Even when products quality is adequate, gaps in corporate governance, cost efficiency, delivery speed, and operational flexibility remain major barriers. Building competitive local suppliers takes time. Many foreign investors continue to rely on their existing international supply chains, leaving limited room for meaningful technology spillover into the domestic economy.
So if you make a comparison between the foreign direct investment, so the foreign companies and the locals, by definition, the incoming companies are already established somewhere else, right? So they have an experienced management. They have enough capital to come over here and start a business here. Normally, or most of the time, the incoming companies have better technologies.
And at the Vietnam Business Forum 2025, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính called for stronger linkages between FDI and local businesses, saying technology transfer must be real and reciprocal. So how can Vietnam turn investment into innovation? And what legal efforts have been and will be applied to clear the path forward for future cooperations. So joining us now from his office in Ho Chi Minh City is Mr. Leif Schneider, country head from an attorney at international law firm Luther Vietnam, to discuss the progress, the barriers, and what's needed to make technology transfer truly work. Well, thank you, Mr. Schneider, for connecting with us.
Thank you very much for having me back on the program.
Now, many FDI local cooperation projects struggle with valuing technology and also managing intellectual property rights. So what are the key legal bottlenecks that we need to address in order to make technology transfer contracts with Vietnam more practical and attractive?
So when a foreign investor intends to transfer technology to a local party, for example, in Vietnam, what's really being transferred isn't just machinery or software. It's actually know-how, it's systems, and it's people's experience. So the people who have developed it, the people who are working with the technology, that all is part auxiliary to the technology, which may be in a patent, in a copyright, or other things. Yet the current law still relies on outdated valuation methods and complex registration requirements that make the transfer of technology, especially into Vietnam, quite cumbersome. So there's a lot of boxes to tick. We therefore need to shift from bureaucratic approval to contractual freedom under clear and decisive principles, which is international best practice. The standard should focus less on controlling the form, more towards moving towards ensuring transparency, tax clarity, and enforceability of claims under technology transfer contracts. And once technology is treated like intellectual capital rather than just administrative paperwork, cooperation between local and foreign businesses will naturally flourish, I believe.
And another challenge we need to look at is trust, because some foreign partners remain cautious regarding IP leakage or weak contract enforcement. So how can Vietnam address this and prove itself to be a reliable partner? Now, would reforms in dispute resolution or licensing would help make a difference?
The good news is that Vietnam has made very strong commitments by joining international conventions on IP and by allowing commercial arbitration in Vietnam next to the local court litigation. So that's a big progress, and that is, of course, gives us a completely different venue to establish international best practices. But we need to go further. Vietnam should, for example, think about adopting specialized IP and technology courts, like that has been done in Singapore, for example. That, of course, includes then training the technological and the legal staff to understand the language of innovation. Licensing procedures must become more transparent and fully digitized in order to support that. And in the end, if investors can trust that their IP will be protected, they will be much more likely and willing to open their innovation toolbox and share it with local partners.
Now, for more sustainable growth, what we want is to strike a balance. So how can Vietnam still protect local interests while also ensuring that foreign investors feel safe enough to share their proprietary technology?
Yes, and I believe the answer to your question lies in terms of balanced openness. Right. So it's a bit like trying to equalize between two sides of the same equation with very opposing interests and trying to create the win-win situation, right? Meet in the middle of that bridge. And that bridge is also symbolic for trust. So, of course, you're going to have to meet in the middle. And the technology from outside that Vietnam wants to attract needs to be supported by the other side that also made certain commitments and promises as to not abuse those privileges. Vietnam must protect local interests by ensuring that transfer technologies are absorbed effectively through training, joint R&D centers, local innovation funds. But protection must not become protectionism. Right. So again, it is about a balanced openness. For investors, legal guarantees on confidentiality, transparent licensing fees, and stable enforcement are absolutely essential. So it's about institutionalizing the mutual benefits and creating a win-win situation for both sides.
Well, once again, thank you, Mr. Schneider, for connecting with us today and sharing your insights.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, technology transfer is not automatic. It requires strong linkages, clear rules, and domestic firms capable of absorbing and applying new knowledge. Now, Vietnam has the investment, the talent, and the momentum. Now, the challenge is turning these strengths into innovation, not just assembly. And as the country moves deeper into high-tech industries, how well local businesses connect with, learn from, and grow alongside foreign partners will shape Vietnam's competitiveness for the next decade. And that brings us to the end of today's program. Thank you for watching and see you next time on The Point.